extraordinaire, the gemologist.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Gemologist Presents. I remembered the intro music. Thank you for that, our mysterious benefactor. So today, as I sit here at close to 11 p.m. my time, trying to get this out by midnight, on the eve of the big Texas Comic-Con, I'm going to give you a podcast because I probably won't be able to this weekend. Maybe I'll get together with BJ Boyd. He's going to come down for it of the Arcane Alienist. Maybe we'll record something there. Could be kind of cool. We'll see. He is coming down to help out with the big Texas Comic-Con. My wife, who runs the Crush Foundation, somehow through a mutual friend of ours, we got an in to be a partner with the big Texas Comic-Con folks. And we go there and have silent auctions that have been donated and that are on consignment, do raffles. And this year, we're going to have games. So I'm going to be running 4 games this weekend, and I'll do those, get to those. But first, and I'm also going to do days 8 through 14 for my personal Rocktober 2024. I think we put the calendar as the picture for this guy, but you can check out the previous podcast to look at the calendar. I don't know how I'll do it. We'll see. Oh, I think I just put it as a list, so maybe I'll just do that again, right? Anyway, we also have a couple calls. One from Mark the Meek from the podcast of the same name, and one from Jason Connerly. And Mark will start off with, he comments about his own personal influences from heavy metal and hard rock music, and it's pretty cool. So here's Mark.
Hey Carl, happy Rocktober. I know you wanted to do some collaboration together, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to it before the beginning of October. Sickness and then ShireCon prevented that. But I'm glad that you've been able to get a good start on this. I won't be doing the prompts, but I figure I'd call in and talk about my metal/rock journey a little bit, incorporate it how you want. But I wasn't extremely musically minded as a kid. You know, you were talking about you getting your first album at like 10 or 11. I don't think I bought an album until either junior high or like freshman year of high school. And during that time, nu metal was all the craze. And bands like System of a Down, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Insane Clown Posse, all these bands were really popular. You know, you could see MTV videos regularly for them. My brother also introduced me to Metallica. I think we used to, after going to see the Mission Impossible 2 movie, we got the soundtrack for that. And Limp Bizkit starts off the album with kind of a twist or inspiration from the Mission Impossible theme song, and we had that on repeat a lot. So those were fun, formative years, but I didn't get too much more into metal, or we had bands like Creed for hard rock and other bands like that as well. But I think my metal tastes expanded after college with Pandora Radio suggesting Blind Guardian to me. Blind Guardian was my favorite power metal band for a long time, and I still like them to some degree. But they take a lot of inspiration from myths and folk tales and a lot of fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi. They write songs or albums around, George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones a little bit, Michael Moorcock and the Eternal Champion. They did an entire album, Nightfall in Middle-earth, basically taking different parts of the Silmarillion and writing songs about that, which was really cool. I would not have gotten through the Silmarillion, reading it, if not for that album, because I kept listening to the album and looking at the lyrics and wondering how they are going to correspond to different parts of the book. And if I didn't have that level of curiosity from the lyrics, I would not have stuck with the harder, slower, sloggy parts of the Silmarillion. Great inspiration there. I think my favorite song still from them is The Soul Forged, which is about Raceland from Dragonlance. Now, I still have not read any of the Dragonlance. I haven't read any D&D fiction at all, really. But I like the song, and I'm not going to do the song justice here by reading some of the lyrics, but I'm going to put them here so that anyone that does know the Dragonlance stories, maybe they actually could verify how, how accurate the illusions are in this. But here we go. Here's some lyrics. I'm not insane, that's how it seems though. Spiteful, cruel, but wise beyond his age. My body fails, my soul will rise. The end of life's immortalized, disease and agony, and I see death through golden eyes. Beyond the door there's something more, it seems there's just one way. On through the heat, I felt the touch of evil, I still feel the icy claw in me. And from the flames, as chance would have it, the soul forged will come into light. And from the flames, as chance would have it, the soul forged, the stainless will rise. And then another verse is, and through the hourglass, everything's gray, everyone's pale. No color nor beauty will enlighten my heart. The seed of life's empty and cold. Cadaverous you all seem to me. Stillborn, you're still alive. You're still alive. And I'll kind of leave it there. I just really enjoyed them. I'd listen to an album, I'd listen to a song, and then go look at the Wikipedia page on that album and see what the different songs were inspired from. And then I would go on these Wikipedia rabbit holes and click links to find out what the myths or the folklore or whatever was referring to so I could learn more. And I don't think I've taken anything directly from Blind Guardian for fantasy gaming, but just having a broader understanding of what's out there literature-wise has been fun, helpful. You can understand more references and include more references the more you know. I've kind of moved on. I really like female-led bands, vocal-wise. So there's, several other power metal bands that I enjoy that are female-led. But before that, another band that is similar in a way, more sci-fi than fantasy-inspired though, is Arjen Anthony Lucason's Star One. And Arjen is heavily into progressive rock, prog metal, and his Star One albums are really cool because they're basically inspired by a bunch of sci-fi movies or shows, and he's written songs about them as well. So the first album, there's references for Doctor Who, the movie Outland, the movie Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, Stargate, Dune, Alien, Blake's 7, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and that's just the first album. He's got 2 more albums. He invites many different vocalists to help contribute to the albums, not just for his Star One albums, but he also has a band, Arion, with a lot of concept albums, which are pretty neat for sci-fi as well. And there's a ton of vocalists on those as well, playing or singing the parts of different characters, as the albums tend to have stories throughout them. So that's another fascinating listen and deep dive. In each of the albums, they seem separate at one point, but then he's got this entire story going on across albums, which is pretty cool. So if nobody's checked out Arion or Star One from Arjen Anthony Lucason, give that a listen. This is what I got for now. I'm going to add some more, do another call-in. Since you're going to do several episodes, maybe I can just have different call-ins about different bands that I might find inspiring for an actual campaign or something. We'll see how it goes. Thanks again for doing this, and take care.
Mark, thank you so much for the call. Very fascinating. I'm a little envious that you were able to go up to ShireCon. Hope you had a great time. I love cons. I love your rock journey. It's kind of cool that you got into new metal. And for those of our listeners who are not familiar with all the terminology in the metal hard rock community, Nu metal is a subgenre of alternative metal that combines heavy metal music with elements of other music genres such as hip hop, funk, industrial, and grunge. So rarely features guitar solos or other displays of musical technique and emphasizes rhythm with instrumentation that is heavily syncopated. So it's pretty interesting. 7-string guitars are among the guitars that nu metal people use, and I actually have seen quite a few of these nu metal bands. I haven't seen System of a Down. You mentioned them; they're one of my favorite, I guess, nu metal bands. But I have seen Linkin Park. I saw them at a rock fest. I've seen a lot of these guys at rock fest. Deftones, I saw them. I like Deftones. I believe the lead singer is from San Antonio, Austin area. I like Mudvayne. I haven't seen them. El Nino, I really enjoy. They blend sort of Mexican folk music with metal. Disturbed, I've seen. I've seen Disturbed a couple times actually. Stained, I've seen. Papa Roach, I've seen. Seven Dust, I've seen. And I do like some of the other bands that were listed or that are under the category nu metal. Slipknot, I've actually seen their singer. I have not seen Slipknot, but I have seen the singer a couple times before. So that is Corey something, right? So Corey Taylor on vocals is the vocalist for Slipknot, and I've seen him a couple times with his own stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and then who else have I seen or do I really like? Drowning Pool, Cold Chamber was up there, Godsmack, Sepultura, surprisingly, Evanescence, Head PE, right? So all these bands that probably a lot of my listeners don't know. Shinedown, Lamb of God, Kitty, which is very interesting. I do like Kitty. Speaking of female vocalists, and Soulfly, which is amalgamation of some Sepultura stuff. So yeah, a lot of really neat. Alien Ant Farm. I really love their cover of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. So pretty neat. And they do all these songs kind of throw in elements of different genres together with that metal vibe, which I really like. So that's kind of cool that you're talking about the Dragonlance connection with some of these bands. And I think one of my favorite bands, and I know you mentioned female singers, has always been Nightwish. And Nightwish has a song and an album actually called Wishmaster. And I'll just read you a little bit, my listeners. So the chorus is Master, Apprentice, Heartborn, Seventh Seeker, Warrior, Disciple, in me the Wishmaster. And for sure it's a Dragonlance related song because it says in the last verse, La Mori, the one known only by him, to August realms, the source within. If you hear the call of arcane lore, your world shall rest on earth no more. A maiden elf calling with her cunning song, meet me at the inn of last home. Heartborn will find a way. So yeah, definitely Dragonlance and Nightwish is a Finnish band. They've had for a long time. They've had female leads for a long time. They had a female lead singer in Tarja Turunen, and now they have Floor Jansen, which also brings me to a neat connection with some of the stuff that you talked about. Floor Jansen being Dutch, and in some of the bands that you mentioned, she is a singer for Star One that you mentioned, and I definitely need to check these things out for sure. Now that I really like Floor Jansen's style and vocalization, vocals, right? She's a really good singer, and got to check out Star One, and then of course I will then lead to Arion by Arjun Anthony Lucasen. So that should be pretty neat to check out. So thank you for those recommendations. Now, when you did definitely power metal, I really enjoy, like I mentioned, Nightwish, another female singer, though this is really more like, I don't know what category Arch Enemy is in, but I like Arch Enemy, Alyssa White Goals. They've had they're death metal. There you go. And I think death metal is one of my favorite sub metal genres. Death metal, black metal, whatever, from Venom to Death to Merciful Fate and King Diamond. I'm so happy I was able to finally see King Diamond last year, 2 years ago. So yeah, so great stuff. And you know what? I think I will jump into the prompts first, and then we'll get to Jason's call, and we'll talk about that and my prep for Big Texas Comic Con. All right. One more thing I did want to add, Mark, again, thank you for the call, is that, I hope you continue to tell us of your metal journey, sort of a collaboration in a sense, and I appreciate it. And one of these days, what we were talking about, what he was talking about, getting together, and maybe he'll mention some, and then I'll respond to it if he does, but we were talking about getting together and talking about what songs have inspired or could inspire an actual game, like RPG game, campaign, one shot, adventure, whatever. So I think that'd be cool if you talk about that inspiration, and then I will respond in kind. So let's get to favorite concert T-shirt, day 8, and I guess I will do the week. I know day 8 is supposed to be Tuesday the 8th, and today being the Friday the 11th. But I think I will go to the 14th, maybe, since I did the first 7 days. So, favorite concert T-shirt is a prompt I selected for day 8, and I have 2, and probably because of the what they say on them, not really from the bands. I got a lot of concert T-shirts. I think I rotate, casual shirts that I wear. I rotate between concert T-shirts and beer brewery shirts. So when I kind of relax, that's what I got. And gaming shirts occasionally, but mostly those two. Like today, right now, I'm wearing a Saxon shirt from the last World Tour that I saw in 2018. Wow, but that's not my favorite 2 shirts are from Fit for Autopsy, and I think it's interesting because it says it has like a World War II kind of soldier with the sort of the doughboy hat and that gas mask, and says I can't see through the fog. I think it's a really cool and evocative shirt. And the other one is from the band Behemoth, which is a death metal, black metal band. And I've seen them a couple times. Actually, it was the opening band, one with Slipknot and one, I think, with Arch Enemy, one of my favorite death metal bands. And that one says, I loved you at your lowest, or at your right. So it's pretty neat shirt, I think, just for what they say. Maybe there's another meaning there, but I do like those shirts a lot. And I think the funniest and funnest one I have is a Iron Maiden shirt from their most recent album tour. Not the new album, but the one from before that. Something Book of Souls, and it has like a DPS, like a Texas themed shirt, and it's a DPS who has the band members, the DPS. So Eddie dressed up as a Texas DPS officer, and he has in custody the Iron Maiden band members. I think it's pretty neat because it just says, it's like Texas, tour across Texas. It's kind of neat. So I try to get things like that, which are pretty fun. So that's my favorite T-shirts. The act I've seen the most often is probably Judas Priest, because I saw them. I didn't see Screaming for Vengeance, but I did see Defenders of the Faith, and I've also seen them. I saw Turbo, and then I saw Ram It Down when I was in. And those were in San Antonio, and then when I was in Worcester, I saw Painkiller, and then I feel like I've seen them 2 more times for some of their later albums that they just had, or they did like the whole album of British Steel. I think I saw that in this latest anniversary thing. So that's like 7 times that I've seen them, and I don't think I've seen Maiden that many times. I saw Power Slave, and I saw Power Slave. I don't think I saw Somewhere in Time. But then I saw Book of Souls, and then the Unleash the Beast, or their latest one. So I've only seen them like 3 times maybe. So yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think Arch Enemy I've seen 3 times too. So tied with Iron Maiden, but you know, definitely Priest, definitely Judas Priest is the band I've seen the most. Act I'd like to see. I have never seen Metallica. Like I mentioned earlier, I was able to catch King Diamond and Merciful Fate. They played some of my favorite songs. I did catch the Slayer Farewell Tour, which had some really fantastic bands in it. Anthrax, which I've seen a couple times. But I have seen Megadeth too, so I have not seen Metallica out of the sort of the big 4, which is crazy. Yeah, I like to see them. But I mean, I don't know. Concert tickets are so expensive nowadays. I remember, back then when I first started watching shows, $20, $15 to $20 a concert. I mean, I guess you can go to a club show and then maybe you pay $15 to $40 now, depending on the size of the club. But man, but those were probably, $5 to $10 back in the day. But then these arena shows now are like in the hundreds of dollars. Yeah, times and inflation, times are changing, right? So the best souvenir from a show, I'm staring at it now. I got to participate in a meet and greet with the Monomarth, who are a Viking metal band, which is really fun music to play, out of Denmark or Sweden, probably. And I got it signed by the band. It's pretty neat. Signed by all 4 members of the band. It is the pass to go for the meet and greet. I think that's my favorite souvenir. That's pretty easy. The band I've liked the longest, it's probably the same as the band that I've seen the most often. The Judas Priest, my first entry to heavy metal way back in the Sad Wings of Destiny album. And I really liked it, and they've been consistent. I mean, even the stuff when Ripper Owens kind of jumped in for Rob Halford when he took some time off to do some solo work. Maybe just take time off from those guys, even though Ian Hill is his brother-in-law, but the bassist. But Rob Halford being the lead singer. But I mean, I've liked them since I would say like 77, 76, 77. That's a long time. Maybe longer than some of you have been alive, which is great. Fantastic, I guess. Day 13, which is Sunday for you when you think about this. Great concept album. Queensryche Operation Mindcrime, I think, comes to mind, with a runner-up as Rush 2112. Operation Mindcrime is this journey of this guy who gets involved in a cult. He's a drug addict, gets involved in a cult, becomes a cult assassin, and it's his journey through that and his escape from that cult. And it's a great album, I think. I love the music in it, and I still sing along when I hear it on the XM, on the satellite radio. And then Rush 2112, it's a poem. It says anonymous, but it's a poem written by Neil Peart, the drummer, and it just talks about, I think I talked about it before, actually. One of the first Rush things I heard, this guy finds in a post-apocalyptic society run by a religious group. I guess that's called I can't remember the exact term for that, but it's run by the priests from the temples of Syrinx. It's called 2112, and this guy who's a servant in that temple finds I guess it's a religious, anyway, someone will tell me the term of a society run by a religious organization. I just can't remember it right now. But this guy finds a guitar. The priests don't like it, and he unfortunately passes away, sadly, because his cool thing was rejected. And during which he sees like a vision of how the guitar was used, which is kind of neat. All right. And day 14, my favorite lead singer. This is a hard one because I probably have 3 that I'm thinking off the top of my head. The late, great Ronnie James Dio. I have seen Rainbow. I did see Rainbow. One of the first shows I saw, but it was with Joe Lynn Turner, not with Ronnie James Dio. I don't think I've ever seen Dio in concert. No, because he did a solo tour. Rainbow in the Dark, or sorry, Rainbow in the Dark. That one, or this Last in Line, I think, is the album for that one. And I don't think I saw him. I didn't see him when he was with Black Sabbath. In fact, I've only seen Ozzy and Black Sabbath at like one of those festival type shows. So yeah, I saw Black Sabbath with Ozzy leading and singing Black Sabbath songs. So there you go. Ronnie James Dio, I know Rob Halford, who I've seen for a long time and heard a long time, and then Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. I think those are my favorite singers, with Dio probably being the most favorite out of those. All right, well, that is those days down. Next week I'll get the next 7, I guess. Because then I don't know, am I going to do 15 through 21, and then 22 through 29, and then the last couple days? I don't know. That last one will probably be 9. Okay, let's hear that call from Jason Connerly. Thank you for that call, Jason. Yeah, and I don't know. There are some adventures that I've seen that do that back to back to back, and I've heard like another GM who I've played a lot of games and runs. He says, might as well just have the encounter. If you're gonna make them roll to eventually fail, just do the encounter, right? It becomes like a quantum ogre if you just kind of do that to make them fail. So another trick that I have used, I don't know if I mentioned this, maybe I did, my memory and that with age, but so what I've done in Warhammer 2 is while they all will roll the same, say for a stealth roll, they'll all roll the same skill, but then I take, because Warhammer does this sort of this thing called success levels, so then I have them roll all their stealth, and they generate a number of success levels. So some people can do poorly, but then they're bolstered by the ones who do really well, and maybe you have a net of 1 or 2. But sometimes if they roll really well, it's higher. But then I roll for the adversaries and give them a composite roll as well. So I think that's kind of fun to do. So it's like so you just they each roll one time, and then the bad guys roll one time, and just compare the results, and then we don't have to go through it again. So I think I've done that a few times. I don't know. I think what I've done more recently is have them roll not just stealth, but other things that they feel like could be appropriate in that situation. Almost like the infiltration chain. So, it's several rolls that get a number of SLs, maybe in like a diplomacy, because some people use charm, some people use deception, some people use intimidate in a sort of a diplomacy type of situation, and then you just add them all up, roll the appropriate skill, cool or whatever, for the bad guys, and then come to a composite number of success levels. That could be negative, and that's a fail. They could be positive, and that's a success. So I think that's a great way to do that kind of thing. And I just make it one roll, right? Let's get to the action. Let's get to the as one of my players says, let's get to the fun parts and make them interesting and meaningful. And let's not dwell too much on the boring parts, which are usually the skill checks, and sometimes the investigation, unless your players really like investigation. All right, so thank you again, Jason, for the call. I think I'm also now going to just say I'm looking forward to Big Texas Comic-Con. It's different from other cons. In other cons, for me, we just sort of prep the game, and in this con, though, we set up the booth, right? So it's definitely very different, though I am running, like I said, 4 games. I'm going to run D&D 2024. I found a cool adventure that you could get for free online from D&D Beyond, and it's Uni the Unicorn needs their horn rescued or something like that. what is it name of the exact thing, but it's a homage in a way to the D&D cartoon Uni and the Hunt for the Lost Thing. Right. So you remember Uni, the unicorn from the cartoon, but now Uni is grown up. So are the characters, fourth level characters, and you get to play the characters from the cartoon and have them do a little adventure, which is kind of cool. It's a pretty good demo adventure. I feel like it would not take. It might take 3 hours, not a full 4-hour block, but just depends, right? How much the player characters role play, what they do, and depending on how badly rolls might go, right? So, but I got the adventure printed out, characters printed out, and that's the game that I'm doing Friday. Saturday, I'm going to do 2 games. I got the Star Trek Quick Start. I got, I think that's a pretty cool adventure. It really highlights the new Star Trek second edition of game, and I will run that. It's got a crew. It's set actually after the Klingon War, so like really in the era of Captain Pike, so pre original series, which is kind of neat. I guess it really, I don't know if that's the default time period. I mean, you can do it in any time period, but I don't know if that's it seems like they're really promoting that with the art and all that in that new book. So I don't know, the Strange New World, since it's the big hit show that they're highlighting and promoting that in that era, which is a cool era. It's almost like I don't know if it's a lost century. Maybe it is because it had Enterprise in an original series, but there's a lot of stuff that happens. The formation of the Federation, the first Romulan War, the Klingon War, which you got the tail end of in Discovery, the first season of Discovery. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Or was that? Maybe isn't the first season of Discovery was the whole Klingon War anyway. But yeah, that'd be pretty fun. Then in the afternoon, evening, I will be running a Marvel multiverse role-playing game, and I'm gonna run. It's a cool little game. I've also printed out the characters. And I got a physical copy of the game, but I also have it on my phone from Ultimate Marvel, and that one is called. What is it? I'm looking for it. Deadpool role plays the Marvel Universe. So you play some people, and I don't know. I doubt we'll finish the whole adventure. And maybe the idea is to highlight, one of the encounters. You could do the first act or the first scene, where you kind of you're not playing necessarily Deadpool, but you're playing people that Deadpool calls for an interview, and being who Deadpool is, the interview is not just sitting down behind a desk and talking. So it should be pretty fun. And then I think on Sunday I do have a game ready, and I have the characters printed out, and I'm gonna run. Today we hunt dragons, which is my variation of the Hunt from the Cthulhu Dark Ages book called Cthulhu 7th Edition. Or maybe I'll reprise, depending on how I feel about it. Maybe I'll reprise the D&D game, because maybe on Sunday people will have heard about, we're offering that game, and maybe Friday didn't happen. So maybe I'll put those out there and see who signs up. Hopefully people won't sign up for both. I don't know. I'll see. So we'll see. It should be pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of work. I'll definitely be tired come Sunday. But I think it's worth it. This is for Crush Foundation. We a small, recently started foundation run by my wife. It's a 501(c), where we try to raise money and awareness for patients with terminal illnesses, and there are quite a few of them. And we partner here at Big Texas Comic Con and Crush the Con side project with ThriveWell, which is an organization that does advocacy and helps patients with their finances, I guess, pays for their treatment, pays for life expenses of people who have cancer. So it's pretty cool. I mean, they even tell you where the money goes and who you help. They kind of sent us a letter, a thank you letter from last year when we donated, and Amy got to present one of those fun big check things, and the money went to pay for someone's chemotherapy. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what we're all about this weekend, and it's great that I got some friends coming to help from out of town, and a couple of our friends who do stuff for Pinnacle for Savage Worlds, Robin and Sean Bircher. So they're going to be able to be there and help out. And I hope these games make. I will let you know next week how it went. But they wanted us to not do like the tabletop events or Warhorn, but this first year sign-up sheets, kind of like what PAX South did a few years ago when PAX South was down in San Antonio. So there you go. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Geomologist Presents. I'm going to try to keep these around 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. But you know, me and my tendency to ramble. Shoot me a line, geomologist@gmail.com. Drop me a message as a DM. Usually on the Discord is the best way to do it. I also have a SpeakPipe account linked for a smaller message. Or shoot me an email if you just want me to read it. That's what some of my players do. So, I should also mention that the kind of in-between type of musics that I use are free loops and samples from Looperman, which requires a subscription to use. So, you know, they just want feedback on the music and want us to use the music and get it out there. So it's kind of cool. And you have to log in and be a member to use the site and donate, to these musicians. So, which I think is pretty cool. So that's who I use, and our mysterious benefactor. So pretty cool stuff. I think that's it. So wish us success for the weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Good night, and good rolling.
Hey, Carl, Jason here. Just want to say I enjoyed your latest episode. I do think that doing a bunch of checks back to back to back is, a way to make the players fail. And it's just, yeah, it's not fun, you know? So I think condensing those down to a single check or some mix up of checks, like you were talking about doing. Maybe you just don't do one roll to infiltrate in, but you have a mixture of different tasks, but it's not just a bunch of stealth rolls back to back to back, right? And I think that is important. So I think that's a great and astute observation by you, and I'm glad you and your groups are having fun. So I will talk to you later.